Hello there and welcome to my unboxing of the PlayStation 4 Pro. I ummed and ahed for a long time about getting one. I finally thought I'd just go for it, and so while I'm unboxing it I will tell you sort of my reasoning behind why I got one, why now, because it has been out a long time. The PlayStation Pro first came out in 2016, I think November time. It's now, at the time of doing this video, it's now 2018 August time. So yeah, it's been out a long while, and well, anyway, here it is. I got it from Argos, my local Argos. It cost me 200, oh, my patch. It cost me £350. That's a lot of money, so it's quite a big investment. So, you know, on the box it says, was there 4K? So really that was the main reason why Sony came out with this product, why they put the Pro out, was to really address the fact that a lot of people are buying 4K TVs, and obviously they'd want their gaming experience to be in 4K. Now, 4K, most games don't actually run at 4K, like true 4K. But I'll talk about a bit more about that later. Okay, so let's open this up. Right, this is just a sleeve, comes off, and inside you have a large white box. Now it does say it's 1 terabyte, the hard drive. I actually upgraded the hard drive in my old PlayStation to a 2 terabyte, so that's actually smaller than the hard drive that I have at the moment. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that hard drive and put it into this PlayStation Pro. Now let's have a look in here. Okay. Oh, at the top here you've got your instructions. Okay, nothing too interesting. On the side, this opens up. Okay. Now the box was sealed. I did cut the seal with my scissors earlier. Okay, these come off, just cardboard. And there. And there. Okay, there's another box in here. Let's move that down. Okay, so it's just, there's no tape or anything, it's just, there it is. PlayStation Pro. Okay, so yeah, I went for the white one. If there was like red or something like that, I would have chosen that. But you know, white for me is, it's quite nice. But yeah, I wish there was just more choice for colours. It's just white and black is a bit boring, really. But there you go. Now on the back here, it does have an optical port. Now, to my shame, in one of my videos, I did make a statement that the PlayStation Pro does not have an optical port. People in chat quickly corrected me. Normally I do double check everything. For some reason I thought it didn't have one, but it quite plainly does. It's the Slim that doesn't have the optical port. And it also has a USB port on the back. So you've obviously got your HDMI, an Ethernet port, power in the back, and on the front you've still got your 2 USB ports in the front. But it's nice having that port on the back, especially now you can attach hard drives to these consoles to extend sort of your storage capacity. Yeah, so it's been out a while now. Why now? Why get one of these now? Well, a lot of my mates have got them. That's one reason. But I have been putting it off, and that's because I don't have a 4K TV. I don't have HDR TV or 4K, and this is what this really is about: pumping out more pixels to give you a high resolution picture. The CPU in this is a bit faster than the CPU in my old PS4. Actually, I'll get my old PS4. This is my old PS4. As I say, the CPU is a bit slower in this. See, like 30% faster in a PlayStation Pro. And as you can see, there is a size difference. The Pro definitely is a bit more of a meatier machine. and I'm sure it's heavier too. The weight difference isn't that big. Yeah, way similar. Just seems to be, probably does weigh a bit more, but it just seems to be just a bigger form factor. Now, with regard to design, obviously they look very similar, and a lot of people will say, well, it just looks the same, right? But to my eye, I actually prefer the sharper, cleaner lines on the old unit, and I do like this shiny bit here. I know people complain the fingerprints get on these shiny bits, but I do like that. I just like it's just squarer, cleaner, less fussy. I like the angled design. I don't know, it's just kind of more, I actually prefer this design. The Pro has kind of 2 slots there, and it's a bit more rounded on the corners, and it hasn't got any shininess to it. And also it's got this kind of thin bit of plastic in this middle section here. There's this thin bit of plastic. I think that's where the eject and on and off buttons are. And I don't know, it seems a bit flimsy. I'm not too impressed with that. Yeah, I do actually prefer the original actually, but they're both very similar looking things. Now, as I was saying, the CPU in the Pro is about 30% faster, which isn't, you know, a big difference. This is really about the GPU. The actual compute units, there's 18 compute units in the old PlayStation. In the Pro, old PlayStation, in the original PlayStation 4. In the Pro version, there is twice as many compute units. There's 36 compute units. There's actually 40, but some of them are made redundant, you know, just for manufacturing purposes. But twice the GPU or the graphic processing unit is there's twice as much power in this. So that is for pushing out all those extra pixels for the 4K. But that's where it gets a bit strange, because 4K is actually 4,000 pixels on the horizontal axis and 2,000 pixels on the vertical axis. That's kind of 4K, roughly. Now, 1080p, which is what my original PlayStation did, that's about 2,000 pixels by about 1,000 pixels. It's actually 1980 by 1080, but no, 1920 by 1080. But basically 2,000 by 1,000. So there's actually 4 times the number of pixels that this needs to put out for 4K. But if the GPU is only like twice as powerful as the old, like the original PlayStation, how can it do true 4K? Well, the simple answer to that is it can't really. I mean, even Sony admit it can't really do proper, true 4K with modern games. Like with simple games, like simple geometry, it probably could do 4K. But for most games, in practical purposes, it's not going to be able to achieve that. So what they do is they pump out as many pixels as they can, you know, at least twice as many as the original base system, but they then interpolate the others. They use sort of little tricks. They use checkerboarding, which is very popular. So they produce as many pixels as they can, interpolate the rest, but it does give very good results. People do say that perceptually it isn't a big difference to actual true 4K. I kind of find that hard to believe. You know, like if they're interpolating, that means there's a lot of detail that's missing out the picture. It's going to look softer. It's not going to look as detailed. But it's certainly going to look better than upscaling a 1080 image onto a 4K TV. So if you've got a 4K TV and you're a big gamer, then buying one of these, well, I would have bought one a long time ago. But as I don't have 4K, I kind of thought to myself, I didn't really need to rush out and buy one. And the uptake on supporting the Pro didn't exactly go wild. Not a lot of people had them. A lot of game developers couldn't really be bothered to put out patches or incorporate too much support for the Pro. But now this has been out like coming up to 2 years, the Pro, there is a lot more support out there. And as I say, a lot of my mates have got Pros. There's a lot more Pros out there. A lot of the newer games look as though they're having more support for the Pro. For instance, Red Dead Redemption 2, Rockstar Games put out an actual game footage video, and it actually features Pro footage. Exactly what they're going to be doing with the Pro, are they going to be using all those extra compute units to give us faster frame rates, to give us wider drawing distances, to give us less pop-in, you know, more like effects. The original PlayStation has been out since 2013, like it's been out a long time. So the PC has really gone on leaps and bounds in that time. So PC games look so much better than the current sort of console games. But the Pro is sort of bridging the gap a bit. Games can look a lot better on here. Now, but why now? Why have I bought one now? Well, the PlayStation 5, it's not out yet, but the talk is that 2020 it would come out. It should be out by 2020, maybe sort of the end of 2020. Some people are predicting it even earlier, so end of 2019. I'm not sure about that, but maybe that will happen. It all depends, I think, between the race between Sony and Microsoft. They're the front runners in the console industry, and Sony really have won this generation, the battle sort of thing. But Microsoft, they may well sort of blink first, as it were. Maybe they will try and launch their next console, maybe the Xbox 2 or whatever they call it. They might try and release that earlier than PlayStation 5, try and get the jump on PlayStation. So that might force PlayStation's hand. Also, there is, the practical side of it to consider. This is based on 16 nanometer technology. So when they create the chip dies, that they're using a sort of fabrication process that works, operates at 16 nanometers. And I think the original PlayStation, I think this was 28 nanometers. I'm not entirely, something like that. But the PlayStation 5, the talk is it will be using the new 7 nanometer technology that's kind of coming online. So that could delay things. If it comes out end of 2020, then I should get a couple of years of use out of this. But if I leave it any longer, then the question is, well, why spend £350 on this if the PlayStation 5 is coming out soon? Might as well spend that money on the PlayStation 5. And that's a good argument. I was in two minds, really. I play like every night gaming hours at a time, so hopefully I'll get my use out of this. And there are games like No Man's Sky that can run at 60 frames a second on the Pro. So I did a review of Shadow of the Colossus, a fantastic game. Thoroughly enjoyed playing that. But all the time I was playing it at 30 frames a second, knowing that if I had a Pro, I could play it at 60. And I grew up playing games at 60 frames a second in the arcades. I love that silky smoothness of 60 frames a second. Yeah, so I did feel like I was missing out a bit. Okay, so let's see what else is... Enough talk. Let's see what else is in here. Okay, just got power lead. We've got our USB charger lead. Now with the new controller, this is I say no, it's been out since 2016, but here we go, here's your little thing you put in your ear, and it's got a little mic on there, so that's for your little chat. I've got, if you see my videos, I've got plenty of headsets, so I won't be using that, but here you go, it works perfectly well. Okay, so this is the controller for the Pro. It's one of the controller that came out 2016. Nice thing about the newer controller, the 2016 one, is when you plug it in directly via the charger cable, it gives you less latency than the older controllers. So good for fighting games, things like that. Okay, what else is in here? Just they've given me a HDMI lead. Alright, that's cool. HDMI lead. Now the original PlayStation did 1.8 teraflops. That's trillion floating point operations. Whereas the new PlayStation Pro does 4.2 teraflops. So that kind of gives you sort of a rough guide to how more advanced the Pro is over the original. Now one thing I didn't like about the original PlayStation was the fan was quite noisy. If you play Fortnite and you go into the lobby, the fan gets really loud. It sounds like the PlayStation wants to take off. So I'm hoping that the cooling system is going to be a bit better on the Pro and it won't make so much fan noise. Now the GPU clock speed is also a bit more than the old PlayStation 4 as well. So the CPU's clocked up a bit, so is the GPU. And that means that they can have like a boost mode. And any game, it doesn't have to be enhanced for the Pro, any game can take advantage of that. So you go into boost mode, and it just means that games should hit their frame rate target, which is normally 30 frames a second, better, shouldn't slow down as much. So yeah, games should run a little bit smoother in boost mode, but it isn't going to make a huge difference. It really is about the GPU power, that extra ability pumping out pixels, higher resolutions, or using that power to just put more graphics, like in open world games, having more foliage or trees, things like that. But it isn't really going to change how the games actually play. For that, we're going to have to wait for a big jump in CPU power, which I'm hoping will come with the PlayStation 5, and then we'll see games where like NPC characters actually have better AI and they do more interesting things. I mean, that would actually change how the games actually play. But this is just about making the games look a bit prettier and run a bit smoother. So will my £350 prove to be a good investment? I don't know. I was on the fence about it. Hopefully, as I play so much, I will feel the benefit of it in the long term. It will mean that I won't feel the need to buy a PlayStation 5 straight away. I'm not an early adapter. I normally wait until a really good game comes along that I really want to play on a new system before I buy it. Now, another thing that appealed to me about the Pro, with the share button on the controller, you can actually record video. With the old system, I could only do 720p video, but with the Pro, it will actually do 1080p video at 30 frames a second. So when I do my little game videos, I'll be able to do 1080p, which is nice. Now, another thing about the Pro, if you want to get into the VR side of things, the VR headset is coming down in price. The extra CPU clock speed and GPU power does give the system a bit more headroom, so it actually copes better with the overhead of the VR headset. You right, Patch? As Patch caught his leg on the box, he's fine, he's okay. Right, boy? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to get this up and running so I can play No Man's Sky with my mates, because the DLC is free on No Man's Sky. There's been some new DLC where you can actually play in third person, and also you can invite your mates into your world so they can come and check out your planets and your bases and things. And I'll be able to play 60 frames a second. I don't think it changes the visuals in any other way. I think it just gives you a faster frame rate. But still, should be cool, should be a lot of fun. Okay, thanks for watching this video. I hope it's been helpful. I hope listening to my reasoning behind why I got one, maybe that's helped you make up your mind if you're sitting on the fence either way. Some of you might think, nah, I don't really need to get it. And that's fair enough, because it is a lot of money. And if you haven't got a 4K TV at the moment, it is sort of questionable whether or not you actually really need to get one. Well, you don't need. The bottom line is you don't need to buy one. I was managing fine without it. But yeah, it's just things were nagging me, and I was thinking, I want the best experience when I'm playing online with my mates on PlayStation. I knew that most of them had a Pro, so I thought I'd bite the bullet and get it. Okay, so thank you for watching, and goodbye. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, if you forgot to say, please drop me a like if you found the video helpful. Thank you.